Chapter 71 Dai Mubai's Changes, please subscribe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Brother AO. You're finally back. You don't know how much I miss you. Ma Hongjun walked up to Oscar and Dugu Yan and threw himself into Oscar's arms. Oscar pushed away Ma Hongjun's handsome face with a look of disgust. He's 10 years old, he's no longer a child, he's still so naughty. Ma Hongjun then let go of Oscar and turned to look at Dugu Yan. Dugu Yan's appearance and figure were of course nothing to say, and Ma Hongjun's eyes immediately glowed with gold. Ma Hongjun said in his heart that it was no wonder that he could make even Brother Ao fall for her. This temperament, this figure, this appearance. If he were to come, he would probably lick it even better than Brother Ao. The reason why Ma Hongjun was like this was because he had to mention what happened to Dai Mubai and him half a year ago, but now Ma Hongjun didn't think of it, he only had eyes for his sister-in-law. Is this sister-in-law? Ma Hongjun turned to look at Dugu Yan with admiration on his face. After all, this was the person who could take down Brother Ao. Hello, sister-in-law, I am Ma Hongjun, Brother Ao's loyal little brother. Seeing this handsome young man who was almost obsessed with Oscar, Dugu Yan's face changed slightly, but he still smiled and said, Hello, I have often heard Xiao Ao talk about you, saying that your talent is very good, and you will definitely be his right-hand man in the future. Hearing this, Ma Hongjun, who was 1.7 meters tall, excitedly hugged Oscar's shoulders, with a proud look on his face. Boss, are you really saying this? Forget it. Regardless of whether it is true or not, these words came from my sister-in-law anyway. Now that you've come out, you can't regret it. Looking at Ma Hongjun's proud look, Oscar shook his head helplessly. Of course I said so. From now on, you, boy, just follow me. I promise to introduce you to a daughter-in-law who is as beautiful as your sister-in-law. Hearing this, if Oscar hadn't escaped quickly, Ma Hongjun almost didn't kiss Oscar on the face. Boss, I love you to death. Oscar quickly pushed Ma Hongjun away and came to hide behind Dugu Yan. But goodbye, it's enough for me to have my sister to love me alone. Dugu Yan looked at the two people who were so close, and could imagine Oscar's excitement when he told him what happened between him and Ma Hongjun. In fact, this is what Dugu Yan envies. Oscar has been able to have such a considerate friend since he was a child. This is probably a wealth that she, and even many people, will never get in their lifetime. Oscar took Dugu Yan's hand again and came to Zhao Wuji. Teacher Zhao, this is my girlfriend Dugu Yan. The teacher should have told you. When Zhao Wuji saw Dugu Yan, he was sizing her up. The more he looked at her, the more satisfied he became. Not to mention that Dugu Yan's grandfather was Dugu Bo. Even if he wasn't, he was still satisfied with Oscar, his little girlfriend. After all, let alone anything else, you can tell from her temperament that she is definitely from a ladylike background. Dugu Yan, yes, you can be with Xiao Ao, I, Lao Zhao, sincerely wish you all. Zhao Wuji said. Thank you, Teacher Zhao. I often hear Xiao Ao mention you. If it weren't for your teachings, I wouldn't have met such a good person. Dugu Yan replied sincerely. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji felt satisfied in his heart. For a teacher to receive such a high evaluation was enough to make him happy for the rest of his life, and what Dugu Yan said was not wrong. Before Gai Yu came, in addition to learning stick skills from teacher Li Yusong, Oscar mainly relied on Lao Zhao for practical training, and it is precisely because of Lao Zhao and his gravity control that trains Oscar that Oscar's physical fitness has been able to improve tremendously in just a few years. We at Shrek welcome you to join us, but you must be mentally prepared. I, old Zhao, have very strict requirements and will not lower my requirements just because you are a girl. Zhao Wuji said with a smile. Dugu Yan nodded when he heard this. Little Ao has told me, and I have been training with him for several months. I will definitely be fine. Then Oscar looked at Dai Mubai and introduced to Dugu Yan. This is Dai Mubai. Although I only got along with him for half a day before leaving the academy, I still have a deep impression of him. During the assessment, his hand was broken by Hongjun, but he persisted to the end without any mistakes. He is a man. Hearing this, Dugu Yan also looked at Dai Mubai with admiration, and it had to be said that there were only 3 people in Shrek Academy, but these 3 people were all handsome and talented. "Hello, my name is Dugu Yan." Dugu Yan also greeted Dai Mubai. Dai Mubai smiled slightly. "Dai Mubai, welcome my sister-in-law to enroll in Shrek." Dai Mubai smiled sincerely and welcomed him sincerely, and so did his sister-in-law. In fact, he originally had some doubts about Oscar's ability to be Ma Hongjun's eldest brother. It would be difficult for him to call him Ao Go or the boss's flower. After all, although he is a latecomer and his strength is not as good as Ma Hongjun's, he was born into a royal family and grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. He is completely incapable of calling others big brother, but after 1 year of enrollment, he was completely convinced by Ma Hongjun. He was truly convinced. Ma Hongjun's soul power cultivation level was the same as his when he didn't take the Phoenix Nirvana pill, but even if they were the same, he never defeated Ma Hongjun once. That's right, he has never won once, but this did not frustrate his self-esteem. Instead, he became more courageous as he fought, and was completely impressed by Ma Hongjun's talent and strength. Even though Ma Hongjun is 3 years younger than him, he is still willing to be the 3rd younger brother in Shrek Academy where strength is respected, and because of his admiration for Ma Hongjun, Dai Mubai naturally felt awe towards this big brother of Shrek Academy whom he had only been in contact with for half a day. After all, Oscar is almost a legend to Dai Mubai. Whether it is with Ma Hongjun or other teachers at Shrek Academy, even after Ma Hongjun took the Phoenix Nirvana pill and his strength improved by leaps and bounds in a short period of time, Oscar was still a legend of Shrek Academy, and he was still a legend in school, so Dai Mubai's words of sister-in-law also come from the bottom of his heart. Although Dai Mubai has not had the opportunity to see Oscar's true strength, he only heard about it from Ma Hongjun and his teachers, but if one person says it, it may be false. If everyone says it, it must be because he is really powerful. Hearing Dai Mubai's words, Dugu Yan smiled slightly. "Thank you, we will all be classmates from now on, no need to be so polite. If you are not used to calling me sister-in-law, just call me by my name." Although Dugu Yan has an elegant temperament now, she is not as strong as a big sister for the time being. She is extremely easygoing because of Oscar. Dai Mubai laughed when he heard this. "I'm used to it. After all, Hongjun calls you brother Ao, but I can't even compare to Hongjun. I call you sister-in-law with all my heart." After hearing this, whether it was Oscar, Dugu Yan, or Ma Hongjun, although they didn't say anything on their lips, they were all very happy in their hearts, and this is Dai Mubai's way of dealing with people. In this year, he has understood a lot of things. There are people outside the world, and there is a sky outside the world. Especially geniuses like Ma Hongjun and Oscar, only by being truly attentive can we make friends with them. And if he can show a little more emotional intelligence when he is distracted, the relationship will go further, and this will be his opportunity and trump card to make a comeback in that fight in the future. Although Oscar has not been here this year, Dai Mubai has changed a lot. With just these few words, Oscar can feel it. I just don't know what Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun have gone through together in this year, which would make Dai Mubai, the prince, willing to call him brother Ao and sister-in-law Dugu Yan. But no matter what, at least Dai Mubai is not disgusted with Oscar like this, but has a little more favorable impression. After all, who doesn't want to have a friend or even a brother with good talent, background and emotional intelligence? But I just don't know if Dai Mubai went to live and drink like in the original novel during his absence, but it seems like there shouldn't be, otherwise Ma Hongjun wouldn't be so close to him. Oscar may not understand Dai Mubai. But Oscar knows Ma Hongjun, with his previous supervision and guidance. Even if Ma Hongjun yearns for love, he will never abuse himself and find a chicken. So naturally, Ma Hongjun will not go out to have fun. Please collect, recommend and vote for me monthly. The votes are cute, brother. Chapter 72 Oscar vs Ma Hongjun, Dai Mubai, 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The few chatted for a while, but were quickly interrupted by Zhao Wuji. "Little monsters, although I am as happy as you are that Xiao Ao is back, our training cannot be left behind," Zhao Wuji said aloud from the side, but after saying this, Zhao Wuji looked at Oscar, then at Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai, rolled his eyes, and spoke again. "But since you miss Xiao Ao so much, he's back. It just so happens that you two have a friendly competition with him to see if your strength has improved recently. After hearing this, both Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai had expressions of eagerness on their faces, because Ma Hongjun's strength improved too fast. He always felt that his soul power level had caught up with Oscar, so he always thought about fighting Oscar again. This time he would definitely beat Brother Ao, so after hearing Zhao Wuji's words, Ma Hongjun couldn't help but be eager to give it a try. The reason why Dai Mubai is like this is because he has been listening to them talk about Oscar's deeds for the past year, and Oscar has almost become a legend here. Even though he had been prepared in his heart, he might not be Oscar's opponent, but he still wanted to give it a try. After all, Brother Ao had already called him, so why not try Brother Ao's strength himself? Teacher Zhao, you have a good idea. Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai replied at the same time. After the two of them finished speaking, they couldn't help but look at each other, saying nothing. When Zhao Wuji saw the two people who were eager to try, he looked at Oscar and Dugu Yan beside him, and said slowly, "Since you two are so confident, let's do this. Hongjun and Mubai will be a pair, Xiao and you. Dugu Yan, let's have a friendly match, just so I can see your progress during this time, and also get familiar with the martial arts and strength of your new classmates." Upon hearing this, Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai replied at the same time, "No problem." Dugu Yan glanced at the two people who were eager to try, and replied with a smile, "I have no problem either." Then Zhao Wuji, Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai all looked at Oscar, waiting for his answer. Oscar glanced at Dugu Yan helplessly. If you take action, they probably won't have to fight. Hearing this, Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai were immediately unhappy. Although they knew that their sister-in-law Dugu Yan was definitely not bad at strength, what did they mean by not being able to fight? But before the two of them could speak, they heard Oscar say calmly, "Teacher Zhao, don't let sister get in trouble, I can do it by myself." Hearing this, Zhao Wuji did not refute, because he knew that Oscar would not be a big talker. Instead, he smiled, "Xiao Ao, it seems that you have made good progress during this period. Are you so confident? Or is Guy Yu not talking to you? Are you talking about Hongjun's promotion?" Oscar shook his head. "The teacher told me, but I have confidence." Hearing this, Ma Hongjun knew that the boss would not target without aim, but his current strength is not bad. "But boss, do you want a one-on-one? Are you looking down on me too much?" Moreover, Dai Mubai also had the same idea as Ma Hongjun. Ma Hongjun directly expressed his thoughts. Oscar still had a smile on his face. "If you want to prove yourself, rely on your strength." Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai looked at each other after hearing this. "Okay, boss, if you can't beat me later, you can admit defeat." Hearing this, the corner of Oscar's mouth curled up. "Haha, you are arrogant again, right? You forgot that when you just obtained the first soul ring, you challenged me with your arrogance, and how did you get beaten by me?" Hearing this, the memory of his death suddenly appeared in Ma Hongjun's mind. That time he was indeed floating, and directly provoked his elder brother, and then his face, which had already lost weight, was beaten into a pig's head. The mention of it is still fresh in his memory. But now Ma Hongjun is not the same Ma Hongjun as before. Although he is not sure that he and Dai Mubai can beat Oscar together, but he won't be beaten into a pig head again, right? After all, no matter how powerful Oscar is, he can't fly, right? And he can fly now. Of course, Ma Hongjun knows that Oscar can fly with a sword, but with Oscar's current soul power, if he can fly with a sword, his melee ability will definitely be reduced. As for long-range attacks, Ma Hongjun can just fly away without worrying about being beaten into a pig's head. But now that he had provoked Oscar, he was a little worried about Dai Mubai. After all, if the boss couldn't beat him, then Dai Mubai would be in trouble. No one knows his boss better than him. If he says he will beat him, he will really beat him, and he will not give him any face. Upon hearing this, Zhao Wuji glanced at Dugu Yan. "How is it? What do you say?" Dugu Yan waved his hand indifferently. "Listen to him." Seeing their sister-in-law being so obedient, Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai couldn't help but feel a little envious. After all, who doesn't want to have a girlfriend who is good-looking, has a good figure, has temperament and is also obedient? Therefore, the two of them secretly vowed to win this time, and they were 2 against 1. Okay, let's do it like this, you three will go to the soul fighting stage. Zhao Wuji waved his hand directly. When Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai heard this, there was a roar of phoenixes and tigers, and they jumped onto the soul fighting stage. Oscar looked at the two vigorous and high-spirited young men, curled his lips and slowly walked onto the soul fighting stage. Zhao Wuji continued, since it's a spirit fight, follow the rules. The three of you have 1 minute to release your spirit and prepare. After Zhao Wuji finished speaking, Dai Mubai couldn't wait to release his martial spirit. I saw him let out a tiger roar, 2 yellow soul rings slowly appeared on his body, and his white fur instantly possessed him. A domineering word appeared 3 horizontally and vertically on his forehead. His hands turned into tiger palms, and he pulled out 10 sharp claws flashing with cold light appeared. Dai Mubai, Martial Spirit, White Tiger, Level 29 Attack System Spirit Master, please give me your advice. Along with Dai Mubai's whistle, Ma Hongjun's phoenix cry was heard. His soul power surged from his body, and crimson flames suddenly erupted from his body, shooting straight into the sky. The surrounding temperature instantly increased by several degrees. Grade, Ma Hongjun, whose whole body was burning with flames, was like a flaming phoenix. His original red hair seemed to have turned into a phoenix crown, and 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, slowly rose up on his body. Ma Hongjun, Martial Spirit, Evil Fire Phoenix, Level 35 Attack System War Spirit Master, please give me your advice. As the 2 martial spirits were released, amidst the roar of tigers and phoenixes, the 2 men combined their auras to press towards Oscar. Hearing their levels, Oscar nodded slightly. Oscar actually knew about Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun's efforts over the past year, so he was not surprised by this. Moreover, Dai Mubai was at the peak of level 25 when he entered school. Now he is at level 29. It is reasonable to improve. What's more, he has not taken whale glue, nor has he skipped the level to absorb soul rings or take immortal elixirs. Otherwise, the improvement definitely doesn't stop there. Needless to say, Ma Hongjun, after taking the immortal elixir, his soul power went from level 25 to level 30, and this has not yet exhausted the power of the Phoenix Nirvana pill. After stabilizing his strength, he added the leapfrog absorption soul ring. Although his 3rd soul ring is only 4,000 years old, which is not as good as Oscar, but with the remaining Phoenix Nirvana pill the potency of the medicine directly caused Ma Hongjun's soul power to reach level 33. In the next more than 7 months, Ma Hongjun's soul power increased by more than 2 levels, reaching level 35, and was about to break through level 36. Although he is not yet 11 years old and has completely broken the Oscar record, everyone in Shrek Academy knows that. Ma Hongjun only achieved this achievement because of the Phoenix Nirvana pill. The Phoenix Nirvana pill also comes from Oscar, so even if Ma Hongjun breaks Oscar's record, Oscar is still a legend of their Shrek Academy, and it is precisely because of this that Ma Hongjun will know more clearly what Oscar, the boss, means to her. Oscar not only solved the evil fire problem for him, but also made his strength and talent qualitatively improve again. If he didn't follow this kind of boss for the rest of his life, Ma Hongjun would feel like he was not human. Please collect it, ask for recommendation votes, and ask for monthly votes. Chapter 73 Oscar vs. Ma Hongjun, Dai Mubai, 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing the 2 people's martial arts and aura, Dugu Yan, who came to Zhao Wuji's side, also nodded slightly. This level and such top-level martial arts may indeed bring some threats to Xiao Ao. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji turned to look at Dugu Yan. Are you so confident in Xiao Ao? Mubai won't say it anymore. The current Hongjun is not inferior to Xiao Ao at the same time, and is even better. And nothing less. Dugu Yan smiled slightly. Teacher Zhao, Xiao Ao has improved a lot during this period. You will know about it later. We will wait and see. Just as Dugu Yan finished speaking, Oscar slowly raised his left hand, and a sky-blue jade sword appeared in his hand. With the appearance of this jade sword, Oscar's whole aura instantly became fierce. Seeing Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai felt as if they were being pointed at by a sharp sword. Oscar's right hand was behind his back, and an orange sausage appeared in his hand, which was tightly held and hidden. 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, slowly rose up on his body. At this time, Oscar's entire body was like an unyielding sharp sword, facing the pressure of Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai's soul power without changing his expression, and even felt like he was faintly overpowering the two of them. Oscar, Martial Spirit, Azure Jade Sword, Level 37 Attack Type Battle Spirit Master. Oscar said slowly. After hearing this, Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai looked at each other, because they both knew that Oscar's martial spirit was actually the supreme sausage, but there was no problem with Oscar saying so. After all, he hid the sausage spirit very well, and the jade sword in his hand was indeed the same as an ordinary weapon spirit. If they didn't know Oscar's details, they would really be kept in the dark. But it doesn't matter anymore, but it doesn't matter what Oscar says. After all, the grades are not fake. Although both of them were surprised that Oscar had reached level 37 from level 30 in just 1 year, they were also mentally prepared. After all, the Phoenix Nirvana pill that Oscar gave to Ma Hongjun made Ma Hongjun such an improvement. Oscar has been learning from Poison DouluoDalu this year, so there is no reason that Oscar himself doesn't have it, so although the two of them were surprised, it was reasonable. And the other person who had the same idea as the two of them was Zhao Wuji. But what they don't know is that although Oscar took the fairy herb, his soul power was not greatly improved. The main reason why he was able to reach the 37th level was because of the third soul ring absorbed by leapfrogging, which allowed him to his soul power directly reached level 33, coupled with the transformation of his body by 2 immortal herbs, his cultivation speed has increased again, so such an improvement is normal. Seeing that both sides had released their martial souls, Zhao Wuji's voice sounded again. The soul fighting begins. As Zhao Wuji finished speaking, the flames on Ma Hongjun's body suddenly condensed, and a pair of flame wings slowly formed on his back. When the fire wings were fanned, Ma Hongjun flew directly into the air. Seeing this scene, Oscar was slightly surprised, because Ma Hongjun did not use any soul skills. The pair of fire wings were completely condensed with soul power and flames. Ma Hongjun soared into the sky and let out a loud phoenix cry again. It seemed as if a huge fire phoenix appeared in the sky. Ma Hongjun's feet seemed to turn into a pair of flaming phoenix claws. He raised his claws and shouted at Oscar. Hit several flame claw strikes. Flaming phoenix, phoenix claw. Several paw prints condensed with flames tore towards Oscar with red flames. Seeing this scene, Oscar felt very sad. When Ma Hongjun followed Flanders to Sunset Forest to obtain the third soul ring, Flanders told him this in more than a year. Ma Hongjun has made various efforts. Nowadays, Ma Hongjun is indeed not the little fat guy in the original work. He has developed his martial soul to the point of proficiency. Even without using soul skills, he can perform many powerful moves. Also attacking with Ma Hongjun was Dai Mubai. He suddenly opened his mouth, and a thick golden light wave erupted from his mouth, locking Oscar together with Ma Hongjun's attack. The second soul skill, White Tiger Fierce Light Wave. Facing the attacks of the two men, Oscar swung his jade sword, and in the blink of an eye he had struck out with several terrifying sword energy strikes, directly blocking Ma Hongjun's attack. At the same time, he moved his whole body 2 steps laterally to avoid Dai Mubai's attack. Although Dai Mubai's second soul skill is powerful, it has a fatal flaw, that is, the attack direction is single. Although the attack power is sufficient, if the enemy can avoid it, then his soul skill is not as flexible as launch Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Fire line. However, Oscar had just resisted the first attack of the two, and their second attack also arrived. Ma Hongjun was seen swooping down towards Oscar, and suddenly opened his mouth and spit out a terrifying flame, directly burning the top of Oscar's head. This is Ma Hongjun's #1 soul skill, Phoenix Fire Wire. The moment the line of fire erupted, the surrounding temperature instantly rose again. But how quickly did Oscar react? He immediately took a few quick steps back, barely avoiding the line of fire. However, Ma Hongjun naturally knew what Oscar knew about him, so when Oscar just retreated, Ma Hongjun flew up to follow him. The line of fire directly chased Oscar and burned him. It seemed that he was almost able to burn Oscar. At this time, Dai Mubai had already released his first soul skill, White Tiger Protective Barrier. His attack, strength and defense instantly increased by 50%, and he rushed towards Oscar. Oscar quickly took a few steps back, and then ran along the soul fighting platform. The line of fire was chasing him little by little behind him, and Dai Mubai was already surrounding him in front of him. Oscar knew that these two guys wanted to double-team him and win in one fell swoop, but Oscar would not give them this chance. Ma Hongjun's current Phoenix Flame is indeed terrifying. Although his soul power level is 2 levels lower than Oscar's, Oscar does not dare to take over his flames, because after taking the star anise ice grass and fiery apricot jiaoshu, he has a body that is invulnerable to all poisons, but he himself is not immune to ice and fire. This immunity effect is in his martial soul. Only after taking his soul only sausages made with special skills can have the ability to be immune to both ice and fire, and there are limitations. As long as the effect of the soul skill disappears, the ability to be immune to both ice and fire will also disappear. This is the same as Tang San's blue-silver grass spirit gaining immunity to both ice and fire in the original work, but there is also an advantage, that is, all of Oscar's soul skills in the future will automatically have this ability. Although the limitations of dual immunity to ice and fire are obvious, it will not consume Oscar's soul power. It is equivalent to being passive, and it is also profitable for Oscar. But now there is no need for Oscar to take his own sausage, because even if he does not have immunity to ice and fire, he can still deal with Ma Hongjun. The reason why he ran away was just waiting for the right opportunity. After all, Ma Hongjun has improved rapidly in this year, and his Oscar can also have the strength to rival the soul sect just by relying on the external soul bone. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Please vote, please. Chapter 74 Dai Mubai exits, Ma Hongjun explodes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ma Hongjun spit out a phoenix line of fire from his mouth and kept chasing Oscar, almost burning Oscar, but he was always close. This scene is a bit like when Ma Hongjun obtained the soul ring for the first time, just like when Ma Hongjun provoked him. The only difference this time is that Ma Hongjun's soul power has improved, and Dai Mubai is assisting him. The most important thing is that Ma Hongjun can fly, and the oppression he brings to Oscar is no longer the same. Seeing Oscar running faster and faster, Ma Hongjun didn't want to play tricks on his boss anymore. He saw a pair of fire wings on his back burst out with more intense flames, which instantly increased his speed. In just the blink of an eye, Ma Hongjun's phoenix fire line burned directly onto Oscar's body, but Oscar was always paying attention to Ma Hongjun's backup moves. Just when the line of fire was about to engulf Oscar, the jade sword in Oscar's hand turned icy blue. Oscar swung his sword with his backhand, and a terrifying ice sword energy suddenly flew out. The ice sword energy collided with the phoenix fire line, freezing the entire fire line in an instant, and it continued to freeze towards Ma Hongjun in the sky. Ma Hongjun was so frightened by this scene that he immediately turned off the engine, and with the help of the fire wings on his back, he quickly climbed a few meters higher. Obviously, Ma Hongjun never thought that Oscar would have such a skill. Doesn't the boss's jade sword only have cutting properties? Where does such a terrifying ice breath come from? Could Teacher Guy Yu still be able to teach his boss all his ice attributes? Isn't this so damn unreasonable? But while Ma Hongjun was hesitating, the jade sword in Oscar's hand had changed from ice blue to crimson again, and he swung the sword against the frozen flames again. This time, it was no longer the ice sword energy, but the red sword energy. Flames flaming sword energy. When the flaming sword energy and the frozen fire line came into contact, they instantly vaporized, and a thick mist spread instantly. Dai Mubai, who had just approached Oscar, felt his vision blur for a moment. The next moment, he felt a terrifying force in his abdomen, and his whole body flew backwards. Nowadays, Oscar's physical fitness has approached the Soul Emperor level, not to mention that after using the external soul bone, his strength and attack power will increase by 50%. Oscar took advantage of the moment when the water mist appeared to get close to Dai Mubai, charged up a punch and knocked him away. And even without the blessing of attack-type martial arts and soul skills, with the improvement of the external soul bone, Oscar's strength and attack power are already infinitely close to the Soul Emperor level. Dai Mubai, who is only at level 29, withstood Oscar's attack. A full blow, he flew backwards, fell directly to the ground and fainted. In the process, he only felt that he was hit by a carriage, and he had no idea how Oscar hit him. and if it weren't for the fact that he also used his first soul skill, Oscar's full blow would have been enough to make him paralyzed. Of course, Oscar himself also controlled his strength and could only let Dai Mubai lie down for a few days at most. When Ma Hongjun heard Dai Mubai's screams, the flames on his body surged again. The terrifying flames instantly evaporated the water mist. Then he saw Dai Mubai, who was lying on the ground and passed out not far from Oscar. White, Ma Hongjun shook his head helplessly, obviously knowing that he had underestimated the strength of his boss. However, although the boss is scary, Ma Hongjun is not bad either. With such a big improvement this year, his physical fitness has already reached the Soul Sect level. Now at level 35, his physical fitness is at least as good as comparable to level 45 Soul Sect. Coupled with his evil Fire Phoenix, a top-notch attack-type beast spirit, he really wanted to challenge the boss, so in fact, it doesn't matter whether there is Dai Mubai or not. After all, for Ma Hongjun, it would be good if Dai Mubai's current strength does not help him, because whether it is Oscar or Ma Hongjun, the strength they can unleash now far exceeds that of soul masters of the same level. Dai Mubai, who was only at level 29, was completely unqualified to participate in the battle between them, unless Dai Mubai can break through level 30 and obtain the third soul ring. He may be barely qualified to participate in this battle. At this time, Ma Hongjun stared at Oscar with a vigilant face. Oscar's ice sword and fire sword just now really surprised him. After all, it is surprising enough that one person can possess the ability of two opposing attributes at the same time, and it was not only Ma Hongjun who was surprised, but also Zhao Wuji. Like Ma Hongjun, he basically only knew about Oscar a year ago. During this year, Zhao Wuji did not know about Oscar's promotion under Dugu. So now that Zhao Wuji was shocked to see that Oscar possessed two opposing attributes, and he was so skillful in operating it, and the power he exerted was terrifying. After all, most people know that the two opposing attributes of ice and fire cannot appear in one person, but Oscar is an exception. Because he has absorbed the star anise ice grass and the fiery apricot jiaoshu, not only does his martial soul have the special effect of being immune to both ice and fire, but his external soul bone also directly possesses extreme ice and extreme heat. Two properties, although they are not yet at the extreme level, they are definitely at the level of advanced attributes, and Oscar, who has been perfectly integrated with the external soul bone, naturally fully masters these two attributes. Not only can these two attributes of Oscar be switched back and forth, but they can also be combined into one to unleash even more terrifying attacks. At this time, Oscar glanced at Dai Mubai, who had fainted, moved his body sideways towards him, stretched his insteps under his body, and directly used his feet to lift him towards Zhao Wuji. At the same time, Oscar threw a sausage at Zhao Wuji, which was the first soul skill Oscar had always stored, the super recovery sausage. Zhao Wuji caught Dai Mubai and the sausage, put Dai Mubai on the ground, and then stuffed the sausage into his mouth. All of Oscar's soul skills melted in the mouth and could directly turn into essence of soul power and flow into his body. Then it works quickly. Dai Mubai's complexion improved obviously after taking the sausage, but Oscar and Ma Hongjun on the soul fighting stage had already started fighting again. I saw Ma Hongjun swooping down towards Oscar, his right hand turning into a flaming claw. The claws contained terrifying flames. The flames slowly condensed into a red fireball. The fireball was not big, but it was powerful. Ability is quite impressive. Flaming Phoenix, Phoenix Explosion. Ma Hongjun, who was holding the fireball, let out a low cry and fanned the fire wings behind his back. Driven by the burst of flames, his speed suddenly increased, far exceeding that of the agility attack type soul masters of the same level. Because his kind of explosion is completely unavailable by ordinary soul masters, it can be said that Ma Hongjun now not only masters the ability to fly, but also can rely on his control of martial arts and flames to explode with the same level of agility attack system soul masters. Speed you can't have. It's just that Oscar is naturally not afraid of Ma Hongjun's surprise attack, otherwise he would have taken the third soul skill to fly. The reason for this is that Oscar has confidence in his own strength. I saw the jade sword whirling in Oscar's hand. The jade sword that had originally turned red suddenly added two colors. At this time, the jade sword had azure as the background color, and the red and blue colors complemented each other. The three attributes of cutting, ice, and fire are integrated into one. This is the strongest form of Oscar's external soul bone, and it is also the form that consumes the most soul power, but in exchange for it is a terrifying offensive ability. Oscar was seen holding the jade sword in his left hand, and he swung out two swords in an instant. The red and blue sword energy suddenly burst out and merged, as if a red and blue sword dragon was formed at the moment of swinging out. Sword power, 2 layers of ice and fire, that the perfect fusion of ice and fire. This sword actually incorporated the sword power that Oscar had comprehended, and a majestic energy instantly locked onto Ma Hongjun. Feeling this terrifying energy, Ma Hongjun instantly knew that his attack might not be Oscar's match, so in just a moment, Ma Hongjun used his second soul skill, Phoenix in Fire. After using this soul skill, his fire power instantly increased by 50%, this means that his attack power has been directly increased by 50%. In addition, his Phoenix explosion condenses the flames to the extreme to form an explosive attack. Therefore, after using the second soul skill, the power of his attack is definitely not just increased by 50%, but has already reached the effect of 1 + 1 being greater than 2, when the fireball held by Ma Hongjun collided with the ice and fire sword dragon wielded by Oscar. There was a terrifying roar. In an instant, there was a wave of air, which directly blew up Dugu Yan's long hair. Next to Zhao Wuji, making it look extremely beautiful. At this time, Dugu Yan was wearing a turquoise dress, and her long hair was flowing. She looked so pretty, but neither Oscar nor Ma Hongjun had the intention to look at it. After the two attacks collided, Ma Hongjun's figure instantly flew backwards, and blood spurted out from his mouth. This was caused by the force of the explosion. After all, he didn't have a sword in his hand, and the force of the shock was directly transmitted to his body, making him feel a little uncomfortable. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Today is another 8,000 words, please recommend and vote for me. Of course, it would be better if there are rewards, hehe. Thank you. Chapter 75 Ma Hongjun begs for mercy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ma Hongjun flew out with the fire wings behind him, quickly stabilized his figure, and dived down towards Oscar again. Although he vomited blood and felt uncomfortable, he knew that Oscar must also feel uncomfortable, but in fact, Ma Hongjun had completely overthought it. Although the impact of this attack was very strong, Oscar's jade sword had already borne a large part of it for him. Moreover, his external soul bone is the left metacarpal bone, and his left hand is tougher than that of ordinary soul masters. In addition, his physical fitness is much stronger than Ma Hongjun, approaching the Soul Emperor level, so Oscar has not actually been affected. There was too much countershock, and there was almost no damage. Ma Hongjun, who swooped down again, did not concentrate the fire attack this time. His right hand was completely condensed with soul power to form a large flaming claw, carrying a majestic power and terrifying phoenix pressure. Like an eagle locking its prey, it attacked Oscar. Flaming Phoenix, Phoenix Claw. Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Claw not only has the terrifying temperature of flames, but also has a tearing feeling like an eagle's claws. The power of this blow may not be as explosive as the Phoenix explosion, but its attack power is definitely more direct and sharper than the Phoenix explosion, coupled with the blessing of dive power. The power of his attack increased again through this invisible increase. However, Oscar's strength and attack have been increased by 50% due to the passiveness of the attached soul bone. In addition, his physical fitness has already reached the level of a soul emperor. With this 50% increase, his physical fitness is not weaker than that of a junior soul emperor. This qualitative gap is definitely not something that Ma Hongjun can make up for with just a little bit of diving power. I saw Oscar waving the three-color jade sword very gorgeously. He was obviously using the Frost Moon sword technique taught by his teacher Gaiyu. Although Xuanyue's sword technique is a family tradition of Gaiyu, it covers almost all sword techniques. This sword technique has a total of 9 styles, among which 9 styles are divided into 27 sword moves. The 81 chapters of sword techniques not only cover the beginning and end of the sword, but also clearly explain how to practice the sword. Oscar was using the 4th form in the core of Xuanyue's sword technique at this time, Hanqing Feiyue. During the swing of the three-color jade sword in Oscar's hand, it suddenly turned into ice blue, and the terrifying cold air was released from the sword. The blue ice sword in Oscar's hand was like a dancing flying moon. It was not only beautiful, but also it reveals an endless atmosphere of danger. This sword merged into Oscar's sword power again, and the ice-cold aura reached its peak. When the sword was swung out, it was like an ice moon flying out, directly hitting Ma Hongjun's sharp claws. The overlap of ice and flames caused endless water mist to erupt again with the two of them in the center. Ma Hongjun felt some pain in his palms wrapped in soul power and flames. Even though he had exhausted all his strength, he could still barely equal Oscar, and even for a moment, Ma Hongjun had to incite Firewing to retreat quickly, otherwise his right hand would not be cut off, but would also be frozen. His purified phoenix flame is absolutely invincible at the same level. There are almost no attributes that can suppress him at the same level, but Oscar did it. Although Oscar's soul power level was 2 levels higher than Ma Hongjun's, what threatened Ma Hongjun the most was Oscar's perfect fusion of ice attributes and sword power. Oscar's sword energy was originally designed to cut and kill, and coupled with the ice that was not weaker than his phoenix flame, Ma Hongjun was inevitably at a disadvantage. However, Ma Hongjun still did not give up, because although his self-created soul skills and phoenix flame were no match for Oscar, he still had a third soul skill that he had not used. His third soul ring has reached 4,000 years, and its power is comparable to the fourth soul skill of an ordinary soul master. In addition, he absorbs soul rings beyond the level, so the power of his third soul skill is actually far beyond the fourth soul skill of an ordinary soul master, and this is also Ma Hongjun's most powerful killing move now. His third soul ring is different from the original. There are some discrepancies. It is not a flying soul skill, but a powerful attacking soul skill, and it's not the fourth soul ring in the original work, which only has the fire attribute and does not have the phoenix bloodline of the Earth King. This time Ma Hongjun's third soul skill comes from a cloud-piercing bird with phoenix bloodline. Not only does it have extremely good phoenix bloodline, but it can also maximize its attack with its powerful fire attribute ability. Ma Hongjun, on the other hand, perfectly integrated this soul ring and gave birth to a super powerful single-target attack soul skill. Ma Hongjun, who was forced to retreat, quickly raised his soul power, and then used his third soul skill. With the blessing of his second soul skill, the Fire Phoenix, the power of his third soul skill had been maximized, so Ma Hongjun used all the soul power was concentrated in this last blow. If he still couldn't defeat Oscar with this last blow, then he would have to admit it. The third soul skill, Phoenix Cloud Piercer Strike. As Ma Hongjun used his third soul skill, a huge fire phoenix suddenly condensed behind him. The fire phoenix spread its wings, and its sharp pupils locked on Oscar in an instant. The moment he was locked, Oscar realized something was wrong, because this lock was not a chi machine lock, but a lock similar to Zhao Wuji's positioning tracking soul skill. Oscar's brows slightly tightened. Do you have a powerful attack skill with a locking ability? It seems to be the same as what the teacher said. Although the name of Hongjun's third soul skill is the same as the fourth soul ring skill in the original work, the effect and power are different. It's a world of difference. And the fact is exactly what Oscar thought. Although Ma Hongjun's third soul skill has the same name as the original fourth soul ring skill, it also lacks a half-control second backswing skill, but the power has been greatly improved, and this soul skill of his also incorporates the positioning locking feature of the cloud-piercing bird. Once the target is locked by Ma Hongjun, it will only happen when his third soul skill attacks the target. Stop, otherwise, he will be trapped in an endless pursuit unless his soul skill is exhausted, but Ma Hongjun's third soul skill fully highlighted his explosive power. The speed at which the soul skill exploded was definitely not something that ordinary soul masters could avoid. Therefore, as long as you are locked by this soul skill of his, there is only one final outcome, and that is to resist forcefully, but Oscar actually has a way to avoid it, and that is to use the third soul skill. With the flying speed of the sharp-tailed swift, Ma Hongjun's soul skill may not be able to catch up with him, but this is completely unnecessary, because Oscar is not afraid of Ma Hongjun's soul attack. I saw the jade sword in Oscar's hand suddenly thrown towards the sky. The original ice blue jade sword instantly turned into 3 colors of soul power light, and then there were azure, ice blue and crimson jade swords. Condensed in mid-air, the number has reached more than 50. Although the visual effect is far inferior to the domineering power of Wan Jianguizong, the power of Oscar's move has far exceeded what it was when he was more than 20 levels. Sword power, 3 yuan sword rain, Oscar shouted, and the jade sword with 3 attributes suddenly attacked Ma Hongjun. With no intention of avoiding it, Ma Hongjun had also completed the release of his third soul skill. The fire phoenix behind him let out a loud phoenix cry and locked onto Oscar. Oscar's 3 yuan sword rain first came into contact with Ma Hongjun's fire phoenix with ice swords. There were 20 ice swords. All the ice swords were smashed by the fire phoenix, directly consuming 2/3 of the fire phoenix's energy. Moreover, most of the entire fire phoenix was frozen by the ice, followed immediately by the fire sword. It was also the frozen contact formed by the 20 fire swords and the ice sword. The entire fire phoenix instantly vaporized and slowly dissipated in the air. The last dozen remaining jade swords were already unstoppable, roaring towards Ma Hongjun. At this time, Ma Hongjun was powerless to stop him. His last remaining soul power could only barely maintain his flight, and he had no extra soul power to resist Oscar's remaining flying sword. Seeing that his body was about to be pierced by the flying sword, Ma Hongjun immediately begged Oscar for mercy, otherwise he was really afraid that Oscar would directly dress him in strings. "Boss, I was wrong. I will never dare to challenge you again. Just take away your magical powers." Ma Hongjun quickly begged for mercy while flying backward to avoid the flying sword attack. Upon hearing Ma Hongjun's begging for mercy, the 10 flying swords that were about to pierce Ma Hongjun's body suddenly turned into azure light of soul power, recondensed into 2 big hands, grabbed Ma Hongjun, and then threw them in the direction of Oscar. The condensed big hand is the characteristic of the attached soul bone, condensation. Oscar's external soul bone can be condensed into anything, as long as Oscar can imagine it, but in terms of attack power alone, the sword is the only one with the strongest attack power. Because his external soul bone comes from the purple gold sword bamboo, the sword is the strongest offensive weapon condensed from this external soul bone. This is why Oscar chose to practice swords instead of sticks. Of course, Oscar has not forgotten the dragon pattern stick technique he learned from Li Yusong, but using a stick is definitely not as good as using a sword. Ma Hongjun, who was thrown down, screamed, and finally Oscar grabbed him by the collar and lifted him up. "My child, you are strong, but you are not strong enough, so don't show off in front of your brother in the future, or else you will do it. I won't let you go so easily once." Hearing this, Ma Hongjun's head was pounding like crazy. Yes, boss. I won't dare to do it next time. Let me go this time. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Chapter 76 Zhao Wuji takes action. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oscar rolled his eyes at Ma Hongjun, let go and threw him directly to the ground. Then he took out 2 sausages from the soul guide, drank one himself, and gave the other to Ma Hongjun. Ma Hongjun sat down on the ground with a snap, and quickly took the sausage thrown by Oscar and drank it. An essence of soul power bloomed in his body, which restored his soul power and physical strength in an instant, and his complexion slowly turned rosy. In fact, Oscar consumes a lot of money, because although Ma Hongjun is only level 35, his real strength is already comparable to that of the Soul Sect. Although Oscar can defeat him with only the external soul bone, it is not easy for him. Oscar's soul power was consumed by at least 50%. After taking the sausage, Oscar's soul power recovered quickly. Soon his soul power and physical strength were greatly restored, and Zhao Wuji was a little shocked when he recalled the battle between Oscar and Ma Hongjun just now. Ma Hongjun's current strength is very clear to Zhao Wuji. It is definitely not comparable to Oscar who left a year ago. Originally, Zhao Wuji thought that even if he didn't lose, Oscar would not be able to win so cleanly, but now it seems that although Ma Hongjun's improvement is terrifying, the Oscar is not inferior at all. He went from level 30 to level 37 in 1 year. This level of improvement was something that Zhao Wuji would never have dared to imagine before, but now what happened to Oscar and Ma Hongjun, Zhao Wuji not only believed it, but the most important thing was that even though the soul power of the two improved so rapidly, their cultivation was not at all frivolous, and the strength they displayed was far beyond that of soul masters of the same level. Fighting across levels is as easy as drinking water. The most important thing is that Oscar, an auxiliary soul master, was able to defeat Ma Hongjun, an offensive soul master with a top-level beast spirit, head-on, and in Zhao Wuji's view, Oscar's external soul bone can now be completely used as a second martial soul. After all, even without soul skills, his powerful sword moves are all at his fingertips, and they are more powerful than souls of the same level. The master's soul skills are much stronger. If it weren't for the fact that Oscar's external soul bone couldn't be attached with a soul ring, Oscar could be said to be completely equivalent to a twin martial soul master. Dugu Yan looked at Oscar, who easily won 1 against 2, with a happy smile on his face. She undoubtedly knows Oscar's strength best, and although Oscar is only an auxiliary soul master, he is able to possess strength that far exceeds that of an offensive soul master at the same level. This undoubtedly changed the history of the soul master world, and such an outstanding man is still her boyfriend, so it's natural for her to be happy. Oscar turned to look at Zhao Wuji. Teacher Zhao, how are you doing? Zhao Wuji chuckled. Yes, I didn't expect that your kid would make such a terrifying improvement in the year he left the academy. You and Hongjun are the most terrifying little monsters I have ever seen. It is estimated that the miraculous future of our Shrek Academy will be created by you. Hearing Zhao Wuji's words, Oscar chuckled. Don't worry, Teacher Zhao, if we become successful in the future, we will never forget you. If you still can't find a wife for the rest of your life, we will provide for you in your old age. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji was originally happy, but after hearing the second half of the sentence, Zhao Wuji suddenly had a dark look on his face and glared at Oscar. You brat, you dare to make fun of me, old Zhao, right? Come. I'll practice with you. Practice. When Zhao Wuji said this, he looked at Oscar with a serious face and said, since Hongjun and Mubai didn't let you use your full strength, then I, old Zhao, will do it myself. Hearing this, Oscar rolled his eyes helplessly. Teacher Zhao, I have consumed a lot just now. Although I took the first soul skill to recover, I have only recovered less than 80% of my soul power at this time. Isn't that what you are doing? Are you bullying me? Hearing this, Zhao Wuji chuckled. No, I am putting pressure on you to let you know that you can never let down your guard at any time. Now you can join forces with Hongjun, or you can bring Dugu Yan with you. But what you need to know is that I won't hold back this time. I will keep exerting force until you use all your strength. Do you understand? Hearing this, the corner of Oscar's mouth twitched. I don't know why, but Zhao Wuji, who was originally somewhat upright, is now so sinister. And isn't this what he said to Ma Hongjun Xingjin? Now Lao Zhao actually used it on himself. Oscar curled his lips. Teacher Zhao, although Mubai said he took my first soul skill, he still needs to check it to avoid any sequelae. I will send him to Teacher Xiao now. After hearing Oscar's words, Zhao Wuji thought for a moment. Just as he was thinking, Li Yusong came to the square at some point and said to everyone, Mubai left it to me. I will take him to see Lao Shao. You guys continue. Hearing this, Oscar was speechless for a while, thinking to himself, when is the best time for you to come, but now? This time is really good. Oscar knew that he couldn't dodge this beating, so he simply said to Ma Hongjun, how is your recovery? Shall we practice with Lao Zhao? Ma Hongjun nodded. Although you have consumed a lot just now, the effect of your first soul skill, boss, has been much improved than before. My soul power has been restored to 50%. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji raised his eyebrows slightly. It has to be said that the recovery effect of Oscar's first soul skill is still very powerful. Just now, Ma Hongjun's soul power has been exhausted to the point where he can barely maintain flight. It can be said that it is very difficult. Save one, how long had it passed? Ma Hongjun had only taken Oscar's first soul skill for a few minutes, and he was already half recovered. But this is fine, it just allows him to stretch his muscles. At this time, Dugu Yan looked at Oscar and said, Xiao Ao, what about me? Oscar thought for a while. Sister, just be responsible for assisting me and Hongjun. Although your poison is powerful, the strength gap between you and Lao Zhao is too big, and there is no way to use your poison to deal with him. As Oscar said, he rolled his eyes at Zhao Wuji again, and then said to Dugu Yan, What's more, old Zhao obviously wants to beat me up this time, so don't get involved, lest you get accidentally hurt by him. He doesn't understand the meaning of pity. Hearing this, Dugu Yan nodded, okay, then I will assist you. Dugu Yan said, jumped directly from the high platform to Oscar's side, and took his arm. Don't worry, I will protect myself. Dugu Yan knew that Oscar didn't want her to get hurt, so she whispered in Oscar's ear. Oscar smiled slightly when he heard this, leaned close to Dugu Yan's ear, and whispered, if old Zhao wants you to attack me, just take the sausage I gave you and go to heaven. Remember, the distance must be more than 30 meters, otherwise old Zhao the third and fifth soul skills can suppress you instantly. Dugu Yan nodded when he heard this, indicating that he remembered it. At this time, Ma Hongjun said, Boss, stop whispering to your sister-in-law. How will we fight later? Give me a direction. After hearing this, Oscar pulled his head away from Dugu Yan and said softly to Ma Hongjun, it's been a year. I don't know if the tacit understanding between us has declined. There are no tactics in this battle. We will adapt accordingly. It just happens to test the tacit understanding between us. Hearing this, Ma Hongjun not only did not worry at all, but patted his chest and vowed, don't worry, boss, I will definitely provide you with assists later. Hearing this, Oscar smiled and took out another sausage and handed it to Ma Hongjun. It was still the number 1 soul skill, Super Recovery Big Sausage. Take another one and try to recover more soul power. We can just focus on the attack later. Ma Hongjun took the sausage and stuffed it directly into his mouth and ate it. No problem, boss, Mubai and I were tortured by old Zhao during your absence. Now that you are here, we will definitely be able to make old Zhao deflated. As soon as Ma Hongjun finished speaking, Zhao Wuji also jumped onto the soul fighting stage. How is it? Have we discussed it? After hearing this, Oscar and Ma Hongjun instantly entered a fighting state, as if they were instantly transported back to the time when they faced Zhao Wuji a year ago. Oscar and Ma Hongjun took a step forward at the same time, protecting Dugu Yan behind them. Dugu Yan didn't move at all. Seeing the two boys protecting her in front of them, their hearts were almost overflowing with emotion. Teacher Zhao, this is the first time Hongjun and I have joined forces after we reunited. With the help of my sister, you have to be careful. Oscar warned, please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Chapter 77 Dugu Yan's Soul Skills, Zhao Wuji's Helplessness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing Oscar's reminder, Zhao Wuji chuckled, and 7 soul rings of 2 yellow, 2 purple and 3 black slowly rose up on his body. Zhao Wuji, Martial Soul, Powerful Vajra Bear, 78th level attack type Battle Soul Saint. SHX. Xiao Ao, thank you for your reminder. I decided to remind you that today's spirit battle is not the same as before. This time I will not deliberately suppress my strength, but fight however I want. After hearing this, Oscar and Ma Hongjun not only showed no fear, but also ignited fighting spirit. To be honest, the two of them now also want to know where their limits are. Oscar and Ma Hongjun stopped talking nonsense. Oscar slowly raised his left hand, and a sky-blue jade sword appeared in his hand. 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, slowly rose up on his body. Oscar, Martial Soul, Azure Spirit Jade Sword, level 37 attack type Battle Soul Master. Flames erupted from Ma Hongjun's body, and with a loud phoenix cry, a pair of fire wings appeared behind him. The fire wings fanned Ma Hongjun's figure suddenly into the air, and reached a height of 30 meters above the ground. Ma Hongjun's body surface also had 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, and a voice came from high in the sky. Ma Hongjun, Martial Soul, Evil Fire Phoenix, level 35 attack type Battle Soul Master. Behind the two of them, Dugu Yan's long green hair was flying freely, and a green diamond-shaped crystal quietly appeared between his eyebrows, accompanied by the green brilliance. The straight jade legs under Dugu Yan's dress turned into snake tails and swayed, and the green pupils turned into vertical pupils, staring coldly at Zhao Wuji. Dugu Yan, Martial Spirit, Jade Scale Snake, level 35 Control System War Spirit Master. 0.3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, slowly rose from the surface of Dugu Yan's body, and the swaying snake tail wandered behind Oscar, giving people a sense of oppression waiting for an opportunity. Just after releasing his martial spirit, Oscar took out a green pill from the soul guide and took it. This is Dugu Yan's secret pill. Only by taking this can you not be affected by her first two soul skills, and you can also enjoy the auxiliary effects of her first two soul skills. In the second sausage that Ma Hongjun took before, Oscar had secretly stuffed the pills into it. Zhao Wuji looked at Oscar, who looked serious and alert, and the smile on his face became even wider. He knew that the three children in front of him were all geniuses, and they were already at the soul master level at a young age, but what he, old Zhao, loved most was training geniuses. Come on. Let me see your strength. If you can't satisfy me, then. Zhao Wuji chuckled. Before he could finish his words, Oscar had already launched an attack. I saw the jade sword flying in Oscar's hand, turning into ice blue during the dance, and suddenly swung an ice moon slash at Zhao Wuji. Sword power, the fourth style of Shuangyue sword technique, Hanqing Feiyue. Bingyue struck at Zhao Wuji's face with endless chill and a sharp sword that seemed to freeze people's hearts. Old Zhao was not surprised by Oscar's sudden attack, because this kid has not played by the rules since he was a kid. I saw a bright yellow light shield suddenly condensed on Zhao Wuji's body, which was his first soul skill, the immovable main king body, lifting up at the same time. Zhao Wuji struck out with his bare paw. The terrifying soul power gathered above, and the huge force directly smashed Oscar's sword move into pieces. The ice sword energy only left a little bit on his bare paw. Ice ballast. Zhao Wuji chuckled, rushed towards Oscar, raised his bare paw to Oscar and was about to take a photo. At this moment, Ma Hongjun swooped down from the air and launched the Phoenix Fire Line directly at Zhao Wuji. The fire line carried terrifying power and high temperature and burned straight towards Zhao Wuji's face. Zhao Wuji's expression suddenly changed, and his soul power suddenly gathered on his body to defend against Ma Hongjun's Phoenix line of fire. At this time, Dugu Yan had already opened her small mouth and spit out two red and blue mist. With the full release of her 35th level soul power, the mist instantly filled the entire soul fighting platform. Oscar did not resist the mist. He inhaled it directly the moment the mist appeared. After inhaling the mist, Oscar felt a shock all over his body. Originally, his attack and strength had been increased by 50% due to the attached soul bone. Now with the increase of Dugu Yan's two soul skills, he once again got a good increase. Dugu Yan's first soul skill is called Green Scale Red Poison. The effect of the soul skill can increase the attack and speed of allies by 30%, while for enemies, it makes them irritable and slow-thinking. The second soul skill, Blue Scale Blue Poison, has a soul skill effect that can provide a 50% defense increase for allies and eliminate pain at the same time. It also paralyzes the enemy's nerves, making them move slowly. These two soul skills are extremely powerful whether they are auxiliary or limiting abilities, but Oscar doesn't know why, but these two soul skills are not mentioned in detail in the original work. Not to mention more, the first one can increase the attack and speed by 30% at once, which is undoubtedly amazing. And the second one can increase the defense power by 50%, even the 7 treasure glazed tile tower needs only when you reach level 40 or above can you achieve this level of increase. However, the original work did not mention the power and effect of Dugu Yan's soul skill at all, but only briefly introduced the effect of the soul skill. Under the double amplification of his own soul bone and Dugu Yan's, Oscar's aura instantly surged, and the jade sword lay across his hand. In the process, the jade sword had changed from ice blue to crimson red. Oscar slashed out with his sword, and a terrifying flaming sword energy suddenly flew out, locking onto Zhao Wuji together with Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Fire Line. Sword power, Huiyuan Tian slash, the flame, which came from the fusion of the two eyes of ice and fire and the fiery apricot, was close to the ultimate attribute. It was emitted at the same time as Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Flame, and the terrifying energy directly locked on Zhao Wuji from two directions, facing the two majestic fire attacks. The corners of Zhao Wuji's mouth rose, and his aura surged again as his soul power surged. He raised the huge bare paw on his right hand, and the brown-yellow halo on it flowed, directly facing the two of them. Attack with 2 palms. Oscar's flame sword energy was directly shot away with a palm, and Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Fire line was also directly shot to fault. It is his second soul skill, powerful Vajra palm. Faced with Zhao Wuji's simple and flawless defense, Oscar was not surprised. After all, Zhao Wuji had not suppressed his own soul power level. His terrifying strength of level 78 was beyond the reach of Oscar and Ma Hongjun. As long as Zhao Wuji thinks about it, Oscar and Ma Hongjun won't even have the chance to hurt him, and they will be directly manipulated by him. However, Zhao Wuji would not directly attack with all his strength, but would gradually improve his strength based on the attack methods of Oscar and Ma Hongjun. After all, only in this way can the true strength of the 2 men be known to the maximum extent. After resisting the attacks of Oscar and Ma Hongjun, before Zhao Wuji could take the initiative to attack, Oscar's figure had already arrived in front of him. The jade sword in his hand had turned from red to azure, and he aimed the sword towards Zhao Wuji's face. The door is cut down. Zhao Wuji's bare paws were filled with a strong light of soul power, and he directly engaged Oscar in close combat. Ma Hongjun in the air was not releasing the Phoenix Fire line, but swooping down towards Zhao Wuji. The rich fire element surged above his right foot and suddenly turned into a huge phoenix claw. Flaming Phoenix, Phoenix Seal. Terrifying huge claw marks were printed towards Zhao Wuji's back. The jade sword in Oscar's hand instantly turned into ice blue, and endless icy sword energy suddenly erupted. The third form of Frost Moon sword technique, frost blooms all over the sky. Countless sword energies that looked like frost, flowers, and moons spread across the sky, facing Zhao Wuji's face. Zhao Wuji sneered at this. You brats, if you want to do this to me, old Zhao, be smarter. Then I saw the soul power on Zhao Wuji's body rioting, a halo flowing on a pair of bare paws, shooting directly at the frosty sky, and at the same time kicking behind him, facing Zhao Wuji, who exploded with all his strength. Oscar and Ma Hongjun's attacks were once again resisted by Zhao Wuji, and the next moment, Zhao Wuji did not give them another chance. I saw Zhao Wuji's eyes suddenly locked on Oscar, and the soul ring on his body suddenly moved. The sharp gaze was directly locked on Oscar, and at the same time, a terrifying energy was directly locked on Ma Hongjun, and the terrifying pressure came directly. What locked Oscar was Zhao Wuji's 4th soul skill, called positioning and tracking. It could not only lock on to the enemy, but also move quickly over short distances to accurately hit the target. What brought huge pressure to Ma Hongjun was his 3rd soul skill, called gravity control, which controlled gravity to a certain extent and exerted pressure from a distance. It was one of the Flying Soul Master's nemesis skills. The moment he was locked, Oscar knew that something was wrong. If Zhao Wuji accurately struck him, even he might not be able to withstand Zhao Wuji's attack. So in just a moment, Oscar directly took out a piece of spiritual movement like wind and rain swallow from the soul guide and took it. White wings instantly condensed on his back. As the wings flapped, the whole person suddenly flew high into the sky. The speed was so fast that he was still flying high in the sky. It exceeded Ma Hongjun's flame jet acceleration. Zhao Wuji did not expect this, because when he asked Gai Yu about Oscar's 3rd soul skill, Gai Yu had always kept it a secret and only told them that Oscar's 3rd soul skill was very powerful and had a very special effect. Now that Zhao Wuji saw this scene, he instantly knew Oscar's 3rd soul skill, and it really surprised him. The ability to fly is something that most soul masters do not possess. Except for flying soul masters, ordinary soul masters who want to have the ability to fly must at least reach the soul saint realm before they can fly short distances with their powerful soul power. If a soul master with a non-flying martial spirit wants to truly have the ability to fly, he can only do so if he has cultivated to the realm of title Douluo. Now Oscar's 3rd soul skill is the ability to fly, and judging from the speed he just burst out, it is completely far beyond the agility. Attack system soul masters of the same level. This is undoubtedly something that Zhao Wuji did not expect. The powerful Vajra palm that was just about to hit Oscar suddenly lost its target. Zhao Wuji instantly locked onto Ma Hongjun, who was suppressed by his gravity behind him. At this time, Ma Hongjun just wanted to take off, but was suppressed by a huge force of gravity. However, his reaction was not slow. After finding that he was suppressed, more raging flames erupted on his body. The instantaneous explosion increased Ma Hongjun's speed and flying power. With a sudden increase, he suddenly got rid of Zhao Wuji's gravity suppression, but before he could fly out of the range of Zhao Wuji's gravity, a terrifying squeezing force suddenly made Ma Hongjun stagger, and his flight became unstable, and this is Zhao Wuji's fifth soul skill, Gravity Squeeze. It is also a control of gravity, but it is different from the suppression skill of the third soul skill Gravity Control, but a real attack skill. Through the control of gravity, a huge squeezing force is formed. If Zhao Wuji takes action with all his strength, he can even crush Ma Hongjun to death in an instant, but even though Zhao Wuji had gathered a lot of power now, Ma Hongjun instantly lost his ability to resist and fell from the air. Zhao Wuji's idea was very simple. Since Oscar couldn't be dealt with first, the same could be said for dealing with Ma Hongjun. The powerful Vajra palm had been charging for so long, and finally it was aimed at Ma Hongjun, who fell from the sky. At this time, Ma Hongjun saw that he could not escape, so he shouted to Oscar, who was already in the air, "Boss, save me." Just as Ma Hongjun finished speaking, a terrifying sword energy filled with ice and fire fell from the sky. It was Oscar's attack. Sword power, 2 layers of ice and fire, that the terrifying sword energy was wrapped in near extreme ice and flames. If this blow was serious enough for Zhao Wuji, he would suffer a loss. Feeling the attack falling from the sky, Zhao Wuji sighed helplessly, and the powerful Vajra palm that was originally aimed at Ma Hongjun changed its direction and hit Oscar's sword energy attack. The bear paw collided with the ice and fire sword energy, and the ice and fire sword energy suddenly exploded. The terrifying ice and fire elements filled the air, causing Zhao Wuji's bear paw to suffer 2 different types of damage, freezing and burns. However, Zhao Wuji is the soul saint after all. Although the bear's paw was hit by Oscar's attack, he relied on his strong soul defense to prevent his own palm from being injured. At this time, Ma Hongjun fell heavily to the ground. Without Zhao Wuji's gravity to squeeze him, his whole body instantly burst into endless flames. The fire wings behind him flew straight into the sky, and he no longer dared to enter Zhao Wuji's attack range. When Zhao Wuji saw the 2 brats running out of his attack range, his eyes instantly locked onto Dugu Yan not far away. When Dugu Yan saw Zhao Wuji looking at her, there was no scope at all. A smile appeared on her beautiful face. She opened her mouth and spat out a mouthful of green poisonous mist. The poisonous mist instantly plagued the entire audience, and the terrifying Jade Scale Snake King poison instantly invasion comes. This is Dugu Yan's third soul skill, Jade Scale Snake Emperor Poison. Dugu Yan's third soul ring is a 3,000-year-old green-scaled snake. This green-scaled snake was absorbed by Dugu Yan at a higher level, completely stimulating her green-scaled snake venom. Her third soul skill can be said to be an absolute powerful poison attribute soul skills, within the scope of the Jade Scale Snake Emperor's poison, unless one takes her secret pills, or one has a body that is invulnerable to all poisons like Oscar, otherwise the poison will enter the body and turn into a human within a matter of seconds. Beach pus water. Even if it is not inhaled into the body, the highly toxic poison will cause ulcers on the skin surface and can then invade the body through the blood. If it is a soul master of the same level, it is basically impossible to resist the poison of Dugu Yan's third soul skill, because the soul power foundation of a soul master of the same level is impossible to compare with Dugu Yan, who has surpassed the level to absorb the soul ring. So the soul master, it is basically impossible to protect the body with force, unless the soul power level is at least 5 levels higher than that of Dugu Yan, or the martial soul itself has extremely strong poison resistance. Of course, all this doesn't matter to Zhao Wuji. With his 78th level of terrifying soul power, as long as he doesn't take the initiative to inhale Dugu Yan's poison, he will basically not be affected, because the soul power gap between Dugu Yan and his was too big. The poison could not even break through his soul power protection, let alone the soul power entering his body. However, Dugu Yan still released the third soul skill. Although she had thought that it would not have an effect on Zhao Wuji, her purpose was just to restrict Zhao Wuji, and just after she released her third soul skill, she took out a sausage with her backhand and swallowed it. Then, the same white wings as Oscar condensed from her back, and she rose into the sky, out of the locking range of Zhao Wuji's soul skill. Seeing this scene, Zhao Wuji, who was already moving towards Dugu Yan, stopped and looked helplessly at the three people above the sky. "You brat, what do you mean by this?" Zhao Wuji said speechlessly for a while. Oscar smiled. "There is no way, Teacher Zhao, the three of us are no match for you, so we can only make this decision. Please collect, recommend and vote for me monthly." Chapter 78 Zhao Wuji's Praise and Reminder, Oscar's Soul Skill Storage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 78 Zhao Wuji's Praise and Reminder, Changes in Oscar's Soul Skill Storage Time. Although Zhao Wuji's soul skills can also be used for long-range attacks, if he faces a flying soul master like Oscar, as long as the opponent deliberately does not approach him, then he really has no choice. At this time, Zhao Wuji could only look helplessly at the three Oscars who were high in the sky, because he had no flying ability and his attack range was limited. Oscar and Ma Hongjun looked at each other, and their soul power rioted at the same time. The jade sword in Oscar's hand was suddenly thrown up, turning into azure, ice blue and crimson soul power light. The three-color lights suddenly turned into more than 53-color jade swords, and the sword energy of three different elements, cutting, ice and flame suddenly burst out from the three-color jade sword. "Sword power, 3 yuan sword rain," Oscar shouted loudly, and more than 50 jade swords suddenly enveloped Zhao Wuji, mainly targeting his face, heart, chest, abdomen and lower body. The same was true for Ma Hongjun next to Oscar. With the explosion of soul power, a huge fire phoenix condensed out behind him, making a loud phoenix cry. Under Ma Hongjun's urging, the fire phoenix suddenly moved towards Zhao Wuji, locked on and swooped away. The third soul skill, Phoenix Cloud Piercer Strike, that the two attacks were directed towards Zhao Wuji in tandem, and with their full strength, even a high-level soul sect might not be able to defend against the combined attack of the two, and not only that, after the two attacks were launched, Dugu Yan also slowly raised her right arm, and her right arm was filled with soul power, as if it had turned into a ferocious purple-black snake. The big snake spit out apricots, and a ball of poison in its mouth suddenly condensed into a sharp poisonous arrow. The bone-eating poisonous python's right arm's soul bone skill, bone-eating heart-piercing arrow, that the ferocious snake suddenly spit out a poisonous arrow with cold light, aiming right at Zhao Wuji's heart. His thoughts were exactly the same as Oscar's. What he wanted was a fatal blow. Faced with such an all-out attack, even Zhao Wuji did not dare to be careless. He saw the black sixth soul ring on Zhao Wuji's body suddenly light up, the terrifying soul power suddenly condensed, and a layer of golden halo circulated on his body. Zhao Wuji's originally very strong body suddenly swelled in a large circle under the power of this 10,000-year soul skill. His whole body instantly became tall and powerful, his muscles reached a terrifying level, and his eyes suddenly widened with anger. Open, like an angry King Kong. The sixth soul skill, Angry Eyes King Kong, that the terrifying release of soul power. Under the terrifying increase of the sixth soul skill, Zhao Wuji slowly raised a pair of huge bare paws. The brown-yellow halo flowing on the bare paws was his second soul skill, Powerful Vajra Palm. Zhao Wuji's legs were suddenly lowered, and two bare paws were quickly shot towards the sky to attack everyone, and huge brown-yellow Vajra Palm shadows suddenly flew out. Bang bang bang, countless palm shadows smashed all of Oscar's jade swords into pieces one by one. The jade swords that were originally all over the sky were completely defeated before they even got within 10 meters of Zhao Wuji, turning into three-color soul power light that spilled into the air. The same was true for the attacks of Ma Hongjun and Dugu Yan. Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Cloud Strike was also defeated by Zhao Wuji's countless powerful Vajra Palm shadows. Although Dugu Yan's soul bone skills are more than 20,000 years old, she is still unable to fully exert its full power. Although the attack of the poisonous arrow was closer than that of Oscar and Ma Hongjun, it was not even close to the 5 meters around Zhao Wuji and was defeated. The defeated poison arrow suddenly exploded into a poisonous mist that was extremely corrosive, enough to instantly rot the soul master's bones. However, Zhao Wuji retreated quickly to avoid the poisonous mist and was not affected at all. In fact, the combined attack of the three Oscars was enough to threaten some weaker soul kings, but what they faced was Zhao Wuji, who was fully equipped with full firepower and a soul power as high as level 78, with the increase in the 6th soul skill, and with Zhao Wuji's strength and talent. Unless he encounters a strong person at least the soul saint level, Zhao Wuji of the same level can be considered invincible. In the battle against their 3 teenage children, Zhao Wuji was able to use his 6th soul skill, which was already beyond the capabilities of ordinary soul emperors. It can be said that Zhao Wuji definitely did not put too much water, but he really had to do this to ensure that he would not be injured. Therefore, although Zhao Wuji defended the 3 people's joint attack without any injury, he still recognized the strength of the 3 people in his heart. A 37th level and 2 35th level soul masters working together are enough to fight against a powerful soul king with full firepower. This is the greatest recognition for the 3 Oscars. At this time, Oscar quickly took out 3 large super recovery sausages from the soul guide, ate one himself, and then gave one to Ma Hongjun and Dugu Yan respectively. Their last attack consumed almost all their soul power, and it could be said to be a full-strength attack without reservation. Zhao Wuji looked at the 3 people in the sky with satisfaction and smiled slightly. Yes, you 3 little guys are proud of being able to force out my 6th soul skill. Hearing this, Oscar withdrew his jade sword, pulled the jade hand of Dugu Yan, who had already come to him and had also withdrawn his martial spirit, and slowly landed in front of Zhao Wuji with Ma Hongjun. Teacher Zhao, if you say this, we will be in trouble. Oscar chuckled and replied. Zhao Wuji looked at Oscar, who was smiling so happily, withdrew his martial spirit and glared at him. But don't be too happy, kid. Although your 3rd soul skill is the ability to fly, it is indeed beyond my expectation, but there is still more possibility for you to get along. Xiao Wu, I won't say more about you. You have discovered the problem yourself. I believe you can solve it yourself without much supervision. Dugu Yan's last attack should be the soul bone skill. Although the attack range and method of your soul bone skill are very good, you also need to practice more frequently. These are your killer moves in the future. Hearing Zhao Wuji's pertinent words, Oscar suppressed his smile and nodded seriously. I understand, Teacher Zhao. We will all stay in the academy to practice seriously in the future, and I will have too much time to trouble you. You will be old when the time comes. Don't be impatient. Oscar said, and at the end he deliberately made a joke. Over the years, Oscar has been looking for Zhao Wuji from early in the morning to late at night every day, and borrowed his gravity control training. Zhao Wuji has never said a word no, so there is no such thing as impatience. But even if the old man is really impatient, Oscar is not afraid now. After all, he has a teacher who is about to break through to level 88. Gai Yu's soul power is 10 levels higher than Zhao Wuji. If Lao Zhao was impatient, Oscar would go to the teacher to cry, but Gyue hurts Oscar the most. He looked at Oscar as his son. When he took the shot, Zhao Wu, Qi would be fat. When Zhao Wuji heard Oscar's slightly teasing words, he chuckled. As long as you come to me, I, old Zhao, will definitely accompany you. Then Zhao Wuji waved to Oscar. I know you are used to storing soul skills. Hurry up and give me 2 super recovery sausages. I will consume a lot of soul power. After hearing this, Oscar took out 3 large super recovery sausages from the soul guide with his backhand and handed them to Zhao Wuji. Zhao Wuji drank them all, and his soul power and physical strength quickly recovered. These sausages were all stored after Oscar reached level 37. Although the recovery was limited for Zhao Wuji, who was at level 78, after 3 sausages, his soul power and physical strength could be restored quickly, and the most important thing is that Oscar's soul skill storage time seems to have changed a lot from the original work. In the original work, the storage time of each soul skill is gradually lengthened. For example, the first soul skill can be stored for 7 days, the second soul skill for half a month, the third soul skill for 1 month, and so on. But now Oscar's soul skill storage time is different, but changes based on the longest storage time. For example, the storage time of his first soul skill is 7 days, but after acquiring the second soul skill, the storage time of the second soul skill is half a month. Then the storage time of his first soul skill also becomes half a month. Now the storage time of Oscar's third soul skill is 1 month, so now the storage time of Oscar's 3 soul skills is 1 month. This is undoubtedly great news for Oscar, which means that Oscar can store as many of his soul skills as possible in case of emergency. Please collect and recommend monthly tickets. Chapter 79 Xiao Xian's Evaluation, Dai Mubai's Identity. Please subscribe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As soon as he returned to the academy today, Oscar was dragged into 2 consecutive soul fights. This special welcome method was probably only available to Shrek Academy. However, with the recovery of the super recovery sausage, Oscar himself had nothing to do and quickly recovered his soul power. Zhao Wuji recognized Oscar's improvement after 1 year away, and at the same time he also gained some understanding of Dugu Yan's strength. However, he was still not sure about the effect of Dugu Yan's soul skills. So he asked, Dugu Yan, your first and second soul skills seem to be biased toward auxiliary control, right? When you use these 2 soul skills, after that, Xiao Ao's overall condition improved significantly, and although I didn't inhale your poisonous mist, I can still feel the poisonous mist of your first 2 soul skills. Hearing Zhao Wuji's words, Dugu Yan was actually quite surprised, because Zhao Wuji did not know the effect of her soul skill before. Now, after just 1 battle, Zhao Wuji had already guessed the effect of her soul skill. 78th, worthy of being a 78th level soul saint. Dugu Yan nodded slightly and replied, yes, Teacher Zhao, my first soul skill is called Blue Scale Red Poison. The soul skill effect can increase the attack and speed of teammates by 30%, while for the enemy, it will make the opponent becoming irritable and irritable, thinking slowly. The second soul skill, Green Scales and Blue Poison, the soul skill effect can provide teammates with a 50% defense increase and eliminate pain at the same time. It also paralyzes the enemy's nerves, making the enemy's movement slower. Zhao Wuji was slightly surprised when he heard the effects of Dugu Yan's soul skills, although he knew that Dugu Yan, as the granddaughter of poison DouluoDalu, must be selective in the choice of soul rings. However, even if Dugu Yan's first 2 soul skills are not poisonous, the effects of these 2 soul skills are enough to be considered top-notch in terms of auxiliary control. The 2 soul skills can not only increase the attack, speed and defense of teammates, but also have such a powerful restriction effect on the enemy. He is a natural control soul master. Moreover, it also has the ability and characteristics of an auxiliary soul master. Zhao Wuji now absolutely welcomes Dugu Yan to join their Shrek Academy. With such a powerful soul master who has both support and control, their Shrek Academy team has been continuously improving. Zhao Wuji praised, Dugu Yan, the effects of your 2 soul skills are very powerful, and they have both auxiliary and restrictive effects. Coupled with your poisonous field control, the role you will bring to this team in the future will be not to be ignored. Hearing Zhao Wuji's words, Dugu Yan himself was also happy from the bottom of his heart. Thank you, Teacher Zhao, for the compliment. I will do my best to cooperate with my classmates. Zhao Wuji laughed when he heard this. Okay, you have worked hard today. You have just come to the academy. After dinner, let Xiao Ao take you around the academy to get familiar with our Shrek Academy. It was already 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon when Oscar and Dugu Yan arrived at Shrek Academy. Now nearly an hour has passed, and after a spirit battle, they are indeed a little hungry. Then Zhao Wuji took Oscar and the 3 of them to the cafeteria to eat. Dai Mubai had already been taken away by teacher Li Yusong to find Xiao Xian, so there was no need to worry about Dai Mubai. Moreover, Oscar was very measured in what he did to him, and he would only let him lie down for a few days at most, without leaving any hidden injuries, but this is also because Dai Mubai is too weak. His strength may be top-notch at the same level, but in the face of the training that has focused on physical fitness since he was 6 years old, he not only skipped the level to absorb soul rings, but also took whale gum, and Oscar, who forged his body with 2 fairy herbs, and Dai Mubai, a 29th level great soul master, seemed a bit weak. Arriving at the cafeteria, Xiao Xian, who had finished treating Dai Mubai, just returned to the cafeteria. When he saw Zhao Wuji and Oscar and the others coming, he also started to prepare ingredients for cooking with a smile. Oscar hadn't seen Xiao Xian for a long time. He took Dugu Yan to the kitchen and helped Xiao Xian while introducing Dugu Yan. When Oscar was cultivating his supreme sausage martial spirit, Xiao Xian, as a food-based soul master close to the soul saint level, could be said to have taught Oscar everything he had to offer. He taught Oscar carefully, without any secrets, and gave Oscar many pertinent suggestions. It was precisely because of Shao Xian's teaching that Oscar avoided many detours in practicing martial arts. Therefore, although Shao Xian was not his teacher, he was better than a teacher like Gai Yu. Shao Xian has now broken through to the realm of Soul Saint. After more than half a year, he has practiced hard and took the 9th grade Hunyuan pill. He has also reached the peak of level 74 from level 73, only one step away from level 75. Far away, in the future, Shao Xian is also expected to hit the highest level of the food system, and may become the best in the food system besides Oscar. Oscar pulled Dugu Yan to the kitchen, and Shao Xian's round and fat face was also filled with a smile. Shao Ao, I just heard from Teacher Li that your strength is the highest among the attack system's soul masters at the same level. The top one, it seems that your harvest from Poison Douluo this year is really good. Shao Xian said, his smile even wider, perhaps you will create history in the Soul Master world in the future, have strong combat power as a food Soul Master, and become an all-round Soul Master with both support and attack capabilities. Hearing this, Oscar also smiled slightly. Teacher Shao, I'm overpraising you, but I also want to borrow your good words. I also hope that I can make a name for myself in the Soul Master world in the future and not embarrass us food-type Soul Masters. After Oscar finished speaking, Shao Xian nodded with satisfaction. Yes, you still have ambition. I knew you were not a thing in the pool since you didn't enter the academy. At that time, you were only 6 years old and had just awakened your martial spirit. Every day 6 get up at 0 o'clock and train all kinds of things. A child can withstand the hardships for several years. Shao Ao, your future is absolutely bright. Thank you, Teacher Shao, for your recognition. This is all the teachings of you and other teachers. Oscar will never forget this kindness in the future. Oscar replied sincerely. Shao Xian laughed when he heard this. Okay, I have been at Shrek Academy for more than 10 years. You are the most talented and perseverant student I have ever seen. You will always be the pride of the teachers. Hearing these words, Dugu Yan couldn't help but hold Oscar's hand tightly. Before, Oscar told her how hard he worked, and Dugu Yan didn't feel it at all, but now listening to Shao Xian, Dugu Yan seems to have a feeling for Oscar's previous hard work and efforts, and also understands why Oscar was strict with himself and her during the Ice and Fire Eyes. We also know why Oscar is able to possess such powerful combat ability by virtue of his status as a food-based soul master. The same goes for Dugu Yan. Teacher Gai Yu often tells us about you. It's your two young people's luck that you can get together with Shao Ao. You must work together in the future. Shao Xian looked at it. Eyes Dugu Yan said with a smile. I understand, Teacher Shao. Dugu Yan replied with a smile, and I also admire Teacher Shao very much. Shao Ao told me that you didn't hide anything at all back then, and gave him your whole life's experience. It's an honor for Shao Ao and me to meet such a good teacher like you. Hearing Dugu Yan's words, Shao Xian smiled even more happily. Okay, you two little guys, stop praising me here, it makes me embarrassed. While chatting, Shao Xian and Oscar also prepared the meal. 5 dishes and 2 soups were placed on the table. The teachers and students all ate with their mouths full of fragrance and even drank the soup. Even Ma Hongjun and Shao Xian couldn't help but comment on Oscar, saying that his cooking skills had improved greatly and he was almost catching up with Shao Xian. Although Oscar's cooking skills are not as outrageous as they said, his cooking skills have indeed improved a lot this year. After all, Oscar cooks most of the time this year, and it is difficult not to improve his cooking skills. After the meal, Oscar and Ma Hongjun took Dugu Yan for a stroll in the academy, and took Dugu Yan to get acquainted with the academy. During the process, Ma Hongjun asked the question he had always wondered, Boss, why do you call your sister-in-law sister? I went there with Mubai before. They all call their lovers or girlfriends baby or honey. When Oscar heard this question, what he cared about was not his problem, but where he was going with Dai Mubai in his words. Although Oscar didn't say it clearly, Oscar could also come up with a rough idea. They might have gone to a romantic place, but since Ma Hongjun came out to speak out, he probably took his words to heart and didn't go fooling around. But now listening to Ma Hongjun's question, Oscar and Dugu Yan couldn't help but look at each other, and both of them saw a smile in each other's eyes. After thinking for a while, Oscar slowly explained, "Your sister-in-law and I have a special situation. We met unexpectedly at the beginning, and then we stayed together for some reasons. At that time, because she was a few years older than me, I was not interested in her. She is called sister. Later on, due to frequent contact, something happened to this lonely man and a woman. As for the name, we got used to it. Although we confirmed our relationship later, the name has always been like this." Hearing Oscar's explanation, Dugu Yan seemed to be thinking about being alone and lonely again. She couldn't help but squeeze Oscar's hand that was holding her, and secretly rolled her eyes, obviously thinking of something fun-s thing. Hearing Oscar's explanation, Ma Hongjun nodded in understanding, and finally understood why Oscar called his sister-in-law Dugu Yan's sister. Oscar felt Dugu Yan's little movement and smiled slightly, but turned around and asked Ma Hongjun, "You brat, where did you say you and Mubai went? How did you see these things?" Hearing this flower, Ma Hongjun was not embarrassed and said directly, "That happened many months ago. Mubai was too stressed in training at that time and said he wanted to have some fun. I thought there was nothing interesting in the academy, so I took him to Soto City with the intention of taking him to have fun, but I didn't know his true identity at that time, so how could I know that he wanted to play? He planned to take me to that kind of romantic place for entertainment. I followed him in and saw a little bit of it. But when I realized something was wrong, I took him away." Ma Hongjun said this and smiled at Oscar. "At that time, he still laughed at me for being timid, but I always remember what you told me, boss, that even if there is a problem with the evil fire, it cannot be released in that way. What's more, I didn't have any problems with Xiao at that time, but Mubai, this kid even fought with me because of this matter. But he was no match for me. He was completely convinced by me. After I told him some of the things Yu Xingjin taught me, he didn't mention it again, and his mentality seemed to have changed. His cultivation speed has greatly improved. 1 year later, he is now at level 29. Hearing Ma Hongjun's words, Oscar nodded with great satisfaction, and couldn't help but pat the boy on the shoulder. "Good boy, he is indeed the person that Oscar has chosen, and he has lived up to my trust." After receiving Oscar's praise, Ma Hongjun chuckled. "That's right, I, Ma Hongjun, am where I am today all because of my boss. Naturally, I can't live up to your trust, boss." Dugu Yan listened to the exchange between the two and looked at the two brothers with envy. Although she did not do much with others, there were also descriptions of romantic places in the novel. Listening to Ma Hongjun's righteous words, and Ma Hongjun is only 10 years old now, one can imagine how correct values Oscar must have to be able to teach such an excellent Ma Hongjun. Moreover, Dugu Yan also heard from teacher Gai Yu and teacher Shao Xin that although Ma Hongjun was the direct disciple of Dean Flanders, it was basically Oscar who taught him. Although Flanders was also indispensable, without Oscar, there would definitely be no Ma Hongjun today. One can imagine how powerful Oscar is. It's no wonder that this kid Ma Hongjun obeyed Oscar's words. Dugu Yan couldn't help but praise. "Not bad, Xiao Hongjun, your performance is worthy of the praise your boss usually gives you. When he praises you, I almost get sick every day when I hear it. When I see you today, it's really good." Hearing this, Ma Hongjun was happy, but Oscar was a little surprised, because if Oscar and Dugu Yan had just met, she would not have been able to say such words. After all, this tone already sounded a bit like a sister-in-law, but Oscar could also imagine the changes in Dugu Yan. After all, she had been living closely with him for a year. He knows Oscar's own character, and it is not easy to assimilate Dugu Yan. Ma Hongjun smiled sheepishly. "Sister-in-law, don't say this, otherwise I will be embarrassed." Dugu Yan smiled. "Your elder brother praises you because he is satisfied with your performance. How can you be embarrassed? You should be proud." Oscar patted Ma Hongjun on the shoulder. "That's right. If you keep going, your future achievements will definitely not be inferior to mine." Ma Hongjun nodded when he heard this, with a smile on his face. "Boss, I feel relieved with your words. But Mubai has indeed changed a lot, and he seems to be the prince of the Star Luo Empire. The White Tiger martial spirit is the inherited martial spirit of the Star Luo Empire's royal family. Hearing this, Oscar nodded. I have guessed it a long time ago. The White Tiger martial spirit is extremely talented. Except for the royal family, which has the ability to cultivate it, ordinary forces cannot cultivate it. And maybe he came to Shrek Academy because of the oppression of their royal family's special way of growing up. He probably ran out to escape the high pressure. Hearing this, Ma Hongjun nodded in agreement. I think so too. But boss, our classmate is a prince, which is quite new. Oscar rolled his eyes at him. What's new? The prince is not a human being. Besides, you have the most contact with Mubai and know his character well. Please help me introduce him to him later. Ma Hongjun nodded. Of course there is no problem, and I do agree with him. He works hard in cultivation, but he is a little behind in terms of strength. Ma Hongjun said, hesitating for a moment before saying, if he can also take whale gum flowers, he may be able to catch up with us, but I don't know what the teachers and others think, so I didn't tell Mu about the beluga gum. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Please give me a monthly vote, bro. The best effect is to vote at the beginning of the month. If you put it later, it will be useless. Please. Also, thank you to a reader for the tip today. I am very grateful. Chapter 80 Thoughts on Xiao Wu, taking Dugu Yan to theory class. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At night, Oscar tidied up a room for Dugu Yan next to his room. Although they couldn't live together, as a couple, and with Oscar's privileges at Shrek Academy, there was no problem in living close to each other. 69shux. Com. Ma Hongjun's room is on the right side of Oscar's room, while Dugu Yan's room is on the left, and Oscar is placed in the middle. Dai Mubai's room was in another wooden house, not next to theirs, but they were both in the same yard. After tidying up Dugu Yan's room, Oscar asked Dugu Yan to wash up together. After doing all this, Oscar and Dugu Yan kissed him goodnight before returning to his room. Ma Hongjun was expressionless during the whole process. Although he was envious, he pretended not to see it. When Dugu Yan closed the door of her room, Ma Hongjun followed Oscar back to Oscar's room. Ma Hongjun didn't want to sleep with Oscar. After all, even if he wanted to, Oscar would never allow it. Ma Hongjun just hadn't gotten along with Oscar for too long and wanted to spend more time with the boss, share interesting things about this year, and learn more about the boss's gossip. Previously, when his sister-in-law Dugu Yan was here, Ma Hongjun was embarrassed to ask him many questions, but now he must seize the opportunity. Although Oscar was helpless about this, he did not drive away Ma Hongjun. After all, it had been a long time since he had gossiped and shared daily life with Ma Hongjun, and with Dugu Yan beside him, it was really hard to talk about some topics. Now that it was just him and Ma Hongjun, they had nothing to talk about. Dai Mubai has been sleeping since he was treated by Shao Xin. It's not that Dai Mubai didn't wake up, but that Shao Xin deliberately let him sleep so that he would basically recover the next day. It has to be said that Shao Xin, who has reached the realm of Soul Saint, also has some means in this aspect of treatment. Shao Xion's soul skills are also versatile, including assistance, recovery, and treatment. The effect is similar to Oscar's first soul skill. However, Shao Xion's soul skill specializes in one ability, and the effect is much better than Oscar's. Ma Hongjun asked Oscar a lot of questions, and also talked to Oscar about some problems he encountered in his daily practice. Oscar also answered him carefully, especially knowing that Ma Hongjun was constantly improving his self-created soul skills, the Flaming Phoenix series. Oscar was very pleased with this. Originally, Ma Hongjun could only rely on the use of the Phoenix Flame to fight. But now he was barely able to integrate soul power and attacks into it, giving birth to a truly self-created soul skill. Among them, Flanders has paid a lot for Ma Hongjun. Although Flanders did not create his own soul skills, some of his soul skills had an important inspirational effect on Ma Hongjun, so in a sense, Flanders, the teacher, is quite competent and has provided Ma Hongjun with a lot of help. It wasn't until late at night that Ma Hongjun reluctantly left Oscar's room. If it weren't for Oscar's tough attitude, this kid probably wouldn't have planned to leave tonight. After Ma Hongjun left, Oscar smiled helplessly. then sat cross-legged on the bed and began to practice his soul power. Now he is at level 37, not far from level 40, and Oscar has already thought about the choice of the fourth soul ring. He only needs to break through to level 40 to get the fourth soul ring he wants. The next day, Oscar still got up very early. Oscar happened to open the door. Coincidentally, Ma Hongjun and Dugu Yan from next door came out at the same time. Oscar glanced at the two of them with a strange expression, and then asked Dugu Yan gently, "How is it? It's your first day living here, are you still getting used to it?" After a night of practice, Dugu Yan felt much more energetic, with a charming smile on her delicate face. "Since I followed you, I haven't experienced the feeling of sleeping for a long time. I spend every night practicing, so it's the same everywhere." Hearing this, Oscar smiled helplessly. "I'm doing this for your own good, but you have really worked hard during this period." Dugu Yan also smiled. "I understand that if you are left far away, I will be embarrassed to follow you." Ma Hongjun rubbed his eyes. "Boss, sister-in-law, don't be so lazy this early in the morning and go practice." Hearing this, Oscar nodded. "No problem, just so you can get familiar with your sister-in-law's soul skills." The three of them went to the square together. On the way, Oscar noticed that Dai Mubai didn't get up. He went to his dormitory to take a look and found that the boy was still sleeping, so he didn't disturb him. However, Oscar was quite helpless. His physical fitness was indeed abnormal. At level 37, he could already catch up with the Soul Emperor. It was normal for Dai Mubai to lie down for a whole day with that almost full-force punch. However, this reminded Oscar of Dai Mubai's 37th level versus 29th level Tang San in the original work. Although Tang San was not Dai Mubai's opponent at that time, if he only used 2 soul rings, Dai Mubai actually lost, and he had already made Dai Mubai lie down for a whole day with 1 punch. If Tang San were to punch him now, would he be killed directly? And what makes Oscar feel coldest now is that when he first traveled through time, he even thought about following Tang San and becoming a god by the way. Looking at it now, I have already captured the ice and fire eyes in advance, and I have also formed such a deep friendship with Dugu Yan's grandson. Now that there is no longer the eye of ice and fire, which was the first and biggest cheat in Tang San's original work, I wonder if there will be any changes in Tang San's future development. Oscar is not worried about anything else. He is just afraid that the flapping wings of his little butterfly will lead to changes in the subsequent plot and the original work. If that is the case, then Oscar's advantage of foresight will no longer exist. If that's the case, then Oscar needs to be more careful, but even if this kind of thing really happened, Oscar wouldn't be too worried. After all, the ice and fire eyes are now in his hands. He also gave Dugu ancient books on elixirs and immortal herbs. This treasure there is absolutely no chance for others to take it away, and now Dugu will be more careful not to let others discover the existence of the ice and fire eyes, so Oscar is not worried about this, and as long as the ice and fire eyes are in hand, whether Oscar creates his own force or joins others in the future, this will be an absolute trump card and the foundation for his future achievements. Just thinking about it, Oscar also thought of Xiao Wu, not because he had any bad thoughts about Little Rabbit, but because she has a walking soul ring and soul bone that is 100,000 years old. Oscar couldn't really say he disliked or liked Xiao Wu, but if necessary, Oscar wouldn't mind taking this walking 100,000-year-old soul ring and soul bone. After all, Oscar now has some capital and strength, but there are too many factors to consider when it comes to Xiao Wu. The biggest obstacle is naturally Tang San's father, the youngest titled Douluo on the mainland, Haotian Douluo, Tang Hao. According to the original work, Tang Hao has always known Xiao Wu's identity, and in the early stage, he most likely regarded Xiao Wu as Tang San's soul ring, but because Tang San and Xiao Wu fell in love in the later period, and Tang Hao's woman also took the form of a soul beast, Tang Hao did not take action against Xiao Wu, nor did he object to Xiao Wu being with Tang San. At this stage, Tang San and Xiao Wu are still studying at Notting College in Notting City, and Tang Hao will most likely be secretly protecting and observing them, although Tang Hao will not always follow Tang San, and the original work also clearly mentions that Tang Hao left many times midway, but at this stage Oscar is not sure whether Tang Hao has left, the only thing Oscar could be sure of was the time when he met the Titan giant ape and the 2 times at the beginning of the Soul Master competition that Tang Hao was not there. At other times, Oscar was not sure whether Tang Hao was there. What's more, now he has no good reason to go to Nodding City to catch Xiao Wu, so Oscar has always kept this matter deep in his heart and has not revealed it, and according to the development of the original work, I am now 12 years and 6 months old, which means that in 1.5 years, Tang San and Xiao Wu will come to Shrek Academy to enroll. This is also an opportunity, and it seems that in the original work, Tang Hao also secretly escorted Tang San and Xiao Wu to Shrek Academy, beat up Zhao Wuji, told Zhao Wuji some things, and then left again. So Tang Hao will also leave Tang San this time. Is this his chance too? However, according to the original work, if a soul master has cultivated above soul Douluo, he will most likely be able to see the true form of the rebuilt soul beast. And before the rebuilt soul beasts enter the mature stage, they are even more invincible in front of titled Douluo. Escaped form. And my teacher is now close to the 88th level of cultivation. Not to mention reaching the 90 level in a year and a half, he can at least reach the 89th level, right? So if Xiao Wu comes to Shrek Academy, she will definitely be seen through. If this is the case, will Tang Hao still agree to Tang San and Xiao Wu coming to Shrek Academy? No, that's not right. Tang Hao has never been to Shrek Academy at all, and he must not know about the changes in the academy. Although Flanders and Yu Xiaojiang are good brothers, Guy Yu is not used to showing up in public, so he will not let him. Flanders goes to swagger, and if this is the case, Tang Hao will most likely not stop Tang San and Xiao Wu from coming to Shrek Academy. After all, he didn't know that a small Shrek Academy could have so many powerful soul masters, but Tang Hao will definitely follow him like the original one. What if the teacher discovers Xiao Wu's identity, captures her, and then Tang Hao stops her? If this is the case, then there is a high probability that they will not have the chance to obtain the walking soul ring and soul bone of Xiao Wu. After all, Tang Hao is now a titled Douluo. Even if his body is disabled, Guy Yu cannot deal with it, so if that was the case, they would have no chance to get their hands on Xiao Wu's walking 100,000-year-old soul ring and soul bone. After all, Tang Hao would definitely not give up Xiao Wu to them. However, Oscar didn't really think much about Xiao Wu originally, mainly because his teacher Guy Yu was about to break through to level 90 and needed a suitable soul ring. Although Xiao Wu's body is a soft bone rabbit and its attributes are not compatible with Guy Yu's martial spirit, the quality of the 100,000-year soul ring is enough to make up for the gap in attributes. Therefore, if Guy Yu can possess a 100,000-year soul ring, then there is a chance that it will hit the 99th level Peerless Douluo, not to mention Chen Xian. But now, although Oscar does have thoughts about Xiao Wu, it is indeed a difficult point for Tang Hao to deal with, not to mention that doing so means turning against Tang San, and he may become an enemy in the future. Therefore, Oscar still needs to consider the pros and cons. After all, although he has some capital and strength now, he is not yet able to confront Tang Hao head-on, so he really needs to think twice before doing anything. After all, although Tang Hao is half disabled, he is still a real titled Douluo. As he walked, Oscar shook his head, not allowing himself to think wildly. After all, thinking is worse than doing. Unless that day really comes, no matter how much you think about it, it will be just a fantasy and have no practical significance. Dugu Yan noticed Oscar shaking his head and asked with concern, "What's wrong? Are you worried?" Oscar shook his head, "I just thought of something, it's nothing." Dugu Yan nodded, "If you have anything on your mind, you can tell me. Maybe I can help you." Oscar smiled slightly, "Yeah." Soon, the three of them came to the square. Oscar took Ma Hongjun to familiarize himself with Dugu Yan's soul skills, and also taught Ma Hongjun and Dugu Yan how to cooperate. After all, Ma Hongjun's phoenix flame has a restraining effect on Dugu Yan's poison to a certain extent. In a team battle, if the two of them don't cooperate well, it's likely to be self-defeating. After 2 hours of simple training, the time came to around 8 o'clock. It was already bright and the sun was slowly hanging in the sky. Oscar and the three of them went to the cafeteria together to have breakfast. By this time Dai Mubai had also gotten up. When the three Oscars arrived at the canteen, Dai Mubai happened to come over. Seeing Dai Mubai, who was no longer in serious condition, Ma Hongjun smiled. Mubai, how are you? I'm not kidding you, am I? The boss's strength is not what we can just a random guess. Hearing this, Dai Mubai's face turned slightly red. Originally, he wanted to test how powerful Oscar was, but he didn't expect that yesterday's spirit fight was knocked out by someone's punch. Although the soul power gap between him and Oscar is 8 levels, and there is 1 soul ring difference between them, Oscar didn't even use soul skills at that time, and he was defeated in seconds with such a simple punch. Moreover, Oscar was still an auxiliary soul master. To be honest, Dai Mubai himself felt a little embarrassed. But because of this, Dai Mubai fully recognized Oscar's strength. Facing these 2 monsters, Oscar and Ma Hongjun, he has completely learned to let go of his princely pride and be willing to be his younger brother. After all, if he didn't want to, he would probably be punched to death. Don't mention it. It's true that I took it for granted. I will never refute what Brother Ao says in the future. He told me to go east and never to the west. Dai Mubai smiled bitterly and said immediately. Oscar waved his hand after hearing this. It's not that serious, we are all classmates. Let's eat first. Then Oscar took the lead and led Dugu Yan into the cafeteria, followed closely by Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai. Oscar, who was walking in front, suddenly looked back at Dai Mubai. Since your health is fine, let's train with him in the afternoon. Dai Mubai nodded. No problem, let Brother Ao arrange it. Although Dai Mubai has been in school for a year, he has only been with Oscar for less than a day, but when he is with Ma Hongjun in the academy, Dai Mubai has already heard Oscar's legendary deeds and his ears are ringing. In addition, Oscar punched him yesterday, so Dai Mubai was quite convinced by Oscar's words. As Dai Mubai himself said, he would never go west if he was told to go east. Oscar nodded, then took Dugu Yan to a table and sat down, asking Xiao Xin for 4 breakfasts. The 4 of them finished their breakfast quickly, and then Oscar took Dugu Yan to a theory class. Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai are also taking the theory class. Although they usually work very hard in practice, they basically know nothing about theory, so they can't basically master it like Oscar did after 2 years of study. Oscar even went to buy books to read himself. They couldn't do what Oscar did, so they still had to take theory classes. Dugu Yan, on the other hand, had almost no systematic study of theoretical knowledge since she was a child. It was not because the teachers were not good, but because her own conditions did not allow it. Now that Oscar is with her, Dugu Yan is very willing to study, and the poison in her body has been resolved, and she is not afraid of contact with her classmates. She is not pressured to learn things and go to class. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Brother, please give me a monthly ticket.